Hi! Yay, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. Okay. So I just wanted to get these two episodes done so I can get back on track with my with my schedule. Because I was hoping to finish season 1 by today, so that's what we're doing. And then also, I wanted to get through these two episodes today. I know it's two live streams today, but I wanted to get through these two episodes today because tomorrow would be extremely hard for me to get through these two episodes. Um, and as we get into the episode, I'll explain a little bit more why. So in the meantime, make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on your bell notification, leave a comment. I would love to chat with you in the chat. And do all those wonderful YouTube things. Also, in the description box below, I have the We're Not Done Yet podcast listed, linked as well as the Suzu Circle YouTube channel linked. So I would love for you guys to go and check them out. I know I said this year I was going to link Susan Lucci episode, but the We're Not Done podcast, and I think I forgot. Um, so I'll have to go back and do that on that video. But for now, I'll just add it in on that video, and then we'll go from there. So these two episodes are part 1 and part 2. So we're just kind of going back to back on these two episodes. And every time there is a part 1 and a part 2, I'm going to technically count it as one episode. However, I am going to stop after part 1 and then just play a favorite scene. And then we'll go into the part 2 and then we'll discuss part 2, the overall impact of the episode after that, because I think that there's two good storylines in these episodes that I want to cover, and it looks like I didn't take a lot of notes on either part. I think maybe let me take a look. I think maybe the most I took notes on. Let's see. Because I wrote down that this is the end of part 1. I'm not exactly sure where that ended. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like it's the same amount of notes on both episodes just because they are going to be combined. So I just kind of combined the two into one. So that's what we're going to go from there. Let's just jump right in. So these two episodes are called Bottom of the Bottle, Part 1 and 2. And so we'll start with Part 1. And so what I was saying a little bit before is I didn't want to do these episodes tomorrow. I didn't want to recap them tomorrow because it was a hard day for me too. I'm not exactly sure if I ever said why or how or what happened with my dad and how he passed away. But basically, he was a closet alcoholic. He drank quite a bit. We didn't know until after he passed away just how bad it was. But every 3 months, he would get so drunk that it would almost become, he would become very, very mean. There was only one time that I think that we were afraid of him, but he never, I never got that far. But there was one time that I remember that we were afraid of him. And I don't hide it, but I don't talk about it a lot because of the fact that he is no longer here, and the fact that I did love my dad no matter what. He looked after me. He took care of me with my surgeries and all that. He was my main caretaker for that up until He passed away. And then my mom did too, but she was more of the educational background of it all. But then my dad did take care of the medical side of it. So I don't really like to talk. I don't really talk about that a lot. But these two episodes right here are very, very, very relatable to me and are very, very personal. Are very, very deep. I can definitely. This is an episode to where I can say that I can put myself in Val's shoes more than Karen's. However, I do feel for Karen and trying to be there for Val because that's how I am with all my friends. But I just these two episodes are very special and near and dear to my heart. Um, so we will. Oh, and then also tomorrow is my mom's birthday. She was born on the 4th of July. So here in the U.S. So therefore, I just didn't want to put these episodes on her birthday. I didn't think that that was fair because I wanted to honor her. So, with that being said, I'm just going to jump right in. And then, so we open up at Sid and Karen's and showing all the alcohol. They just kind of pan around to all the alcohol that's at their house. And then, however, we do see that Gary is drinking, to start off with, he is drinking club soda. Um, and then Richard comes up to him and then tells Gary, hey, aren't you forgetting something in that drink? And Gary tells Richard, you know I don't drink, come on now. And then we see Karen come out with a cake, and Karen instead knows what's going on, but no one else really knows what's going on. And then Sid starts to talk about how Gary has been with the dealership and the fact that he's very impressed and that he wants to do something special for Gary, so he promoted him to vice president and gives him a plaque and everything like that. And then for the celebration, um, unbeknownst to Sid and the complications that it would cause, he did give Sid a drink of champagne. I'm sorry, he gave Gary a glass of champagne, and Gary did take a drink of it, did take a sip of it, and then I think Richard poured more into his glass, and then Gary kind of let loose. Um, Sid tells everyone that, Gary is building him an empire, and, someone said, oh, well, that's the Ewan way. And if we all know, I don't know if we mentioned this or if it was implied in the beginning that Gary and Val moved to KnotsLanding to go away from their family, but also because so that Gary wouldn't be tempted with alcohol, because as we learned, in Dallas, we did not have an alcohol problem. Um, and then I'll talk about that when I get there after the recap. I don't want to waste too much time on that. So anyway, so we know that from Dallas that Gary is an alcoholic. So therefore this is very difficult for him to be in this situation. And then Sid starts to pour the alcohol. He gives Gary a drink. And then Val looks over at Gary, and Val's not happy about it. And then Richard just pushes it. And then Val goes over to talk to Gary about it. And then Val tries to take away the drink. And Gary kind of tells her, no, that'll be okay. And then we see later in the evening that Gary gets so wound up and wild and because he drinks too much. And Val is concerned and after the party has to literally walk him home. And then Gary starts laughing and Val is like, well, what's going on? why are you acting this way? And then Val wants to go to bed and asks Gary to go to bed and get some sleep. And Gary doesn't think that Val just wants to go to bed. She thinks that Val is not understanding and that, he tells her that he can handle a couple of drinks. However, and then he starts yelling at her. And then we're at Ginger and Kenny's house. I think Ginger was at Karen's house for the party, but I'm not sure. However, Kenny was not. So we're at Ginger and Kenny's house. Ginger is home, but Kenny is not. Sylvie calls looking for Kenny, and after leaving her place, making Ginger jealous. And then we're back at Karen and Sid's, and they are dancing, talking about the evening and the celebration. And Karen says, Sid goes, "Hey, Karen, you got pretty wild tonight." And Karen goes, "Yeah, well, I got surprises that you haven't even seen." And then they go to the couch to talk about the evening, and they start to talk about how Gary was acting and how he left a little bit on the high. And then all of a sudden you hear Gary and Val yelling. Val is running after Gary, and Gary tells him not to move. And then Gary left. And then Val tells everyone that he is an alcoholic and that Gary is not, and that this is not like a normal person drinking alcohol, that he just can't stop. So that's when she tells everyone. And then next we see that Gary is at a bar getting even more drunk, talking about the difference, and then talking about the differences between bourbon and whiskey and all that in Texas. And then the bartender sounds like he has had a problem himself in the past. And then I wonder if this is kind of where Cheers got their idea about making a bartender who was an alcoholic, um, like Sam from Cheers. That's that's just my thought. I just kind of think that they played off of this idea about making a bartender out of an alcoholic. Um, so that's just kind of cool. However, so then that's when we figure that out, and then he tells Gary that he's going to cut him off because of the fact that he is getting too drunk. And then a woman comes up to him and offers to take him home and offers him all the drinks that he could want. Um, and that she is also from Texas. And then they move. And then co-host in the background, I know that you're in the back. I don't know if you're watching this or not, but I hope it's sounding okay. It is starting to thunderstorm, so I don't know if I'm going to lose power or not. Um, and then we see we're at the wards, and we see that Kenny comes home to Ginger and gets in bed. Kenny starts kissing on her, and then Ginger tells him that Sylvie called, and Kenny says that she is just a product and that just trying to package and sell him, which I kind of didn't like that. And this isn't the first time that a singer gets mentioned to be as a product, as we'll learn in later seasons. I don't like that. Like, a singer is not a product to be packaged, and knowing performers that I don't like that. I just don't like that. Um, and then, however, she tells Kenny that, well, product doesn't call and they're looking for their spouse and cause trouble. And then we see that Karen, Sid, and Laura are at Val's, and that they're all trying to encourage Val, telling her that he'll come home. And then Val says, no, he won't, that, you know, that he just runs away from his problems to drink. And then we see that Val and Sid go to look for him. They go to every bar and liquor store down the coast. Finally, they find the bartender that tells them that he was there. However, they don't want to tell him exactly what happened. And then they leave. They start to leave. The bartender calls Sid over, and the bartender tells him that he left with another woman. And then Sid tells Val. Then they find the car at the hotel. They go up to the room. The woman tells them that she bought the car for $400 and told them that he is going bar to bar down the coast. And I don't know when the car gets bought back. I don't. It's mentioned later on in the episode that the car does get bought back, but we're not sure when. It does. So I'm not exactly sure. Um, but the woman tells her that he's going down bar to bar, and then we see Gary at another fight to where he gets into a bar fight, and then Val and Sid find him on the corner getting arrested after the bar fight. And this is where we find out that the lady got her $400 back for the car. Um, because Karen goes to the police station and Sid tells Karen that when Gary gets drunk, he becomes mean. And then we see that Val takes Gary home in Sid's car, and goes home to get changed to go to work. And again, he's still drunk, yelling at Val. However, he does go to work, and then he ends up and shows Sid the advertisement. Sid is impressed with it, and then he tells Sid that he's gonna go to lunch. However, Sid doesn't want him to either A, go by himself, or B, doesn't want him offers to go in his place. And then Sid does let Gary go, and we do see him at lunch. I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about. Something about walking down the moon and all that. And then they ask for another round of martinis. And then they get another round. They ask Gary if he wants one, and Gary says no. I'll just have another coffee. However, he looks straight at the bar, has his eye on the bar at the whole time, and then he says, Mister, I will have a martini. So, um, yeah, and then again, I say that Gary is trying to hold off on this drinking, however, he doesn't make it. Then we're at Sylvie's apartment, and we do see that Kenny is having an affair with Sylvie, and that she wants him to go away with her, and she sounds like she wants Kenny to read Ginger for her. And I think that in this episode, they were trying to make Sylvie what Abby would later become. However, I don't think that worked out very well. But that's just my opinion. However, Kenny tells her no, that he doesn't want to leave Ginger. He loves Ginger. So again, this is another cheating, cheating thing going on here. Um, and then we're back at the dealership, and Gary returns to the dealership. He's drunk. Sid suggests that Gary go take a nap in his office, and tells Gary that he knows. Gary tells Sid that he knows that Sid knows that this is Sid that he knows that Sid knows that he is a drunk. However, Gary gets upset, and Sid tells Gary to leave, and Gary says, fine, I'll never come back then. However, Sid knows that this is not the true Gary, and then we find Gary at another bar. And then we're at the staircase, and Karen and Val are carrying the tree that they bought at a nursery. And then Sid comes home with, and then Sid tells Val what happened at the dealership, and then Val almost blames Sid, however, realizes that it is not Gary's fault, or that it's not Sid's fault, but that it's Gary's fault. And then Val learns that he will drink for any reason, any occasion, because, as they explained to them, as he explained to them that, they left Dallas so that they could start a new life and so that Gary wouldn't be tempted, but then again, here he is, getting drunk again off of one drink. Um, and then, so, in essence, he will drink for any reason. And then Sid tells Val that he is still scared, and Val does not know what to do at this point. And then we're at Ginger and Kenneth. He is going over Sylvie's picture for the album cover, and again, Ginger is accusing Kenny of having an affair. However, he's being very defensive, and he told her no, and she doesn't believe him, and she's upset that she brought the headshots home, and that's kind of what started the argument. And then we see Gary walking on the beach drunk, and he runs into a gang, and they take his wallet. And then we see that this is going to be a reoccurring thing of Gary throughout the series, as we'll learn in season 5 or 6. We'll learn this about Gary. And then we see that Karen is at Val's, staying with her, and Val tells Karen to, why don't you go on home? And Karen asks Val, do you really want me to leave? And Val says no. And then they start to talk about what's going on, and what if Gary doesn't come home? Karen tells Val that she doesn't think that this is over, and neither does Val. Karen suggests that. Sorry, I have to turn the page. Karen suggests that maybe this was just as expected, that maybe, Val is more upset because this happened and because she didn't expect it, and maybe it's something that she should have expected. Um, Karen says that this time it will be different because Gary has Val. Karen encourages Val to stay with them and to work through it with them. And Val says that she still loves him. And and then we see that Gary tries to buy liquor, but he realizes that he has no money because while at the beach, he ran into a gang and the gang took his wallet. And then Gary tries to take the bottle, but he gets a gun. Oh, alcohol. He gets something pulled up on. He gets something pulled on him. Um, and he was told either take the champagne or the wine, or take the money and move. And because what Gary really wants is he wants the bourbon. He doesn't want the champagne, but he wants the bourbon. Um, then we see him go back down to the beach, um, and try and drink the liquor, and then we see him wake up. Gary sees someone else, another homeless man, a homeless man, and um, uh, I'm sorry, that starts in the next scene. Okay, so then the next scene, Karen said Richard and Laura are at Val's looking for a way to find Gary, trying to go to figure out where he was last seen. And then Sid, Karen, and Val all leave to go look for Gary, and Laura stays back at the house. Laura encourages Richard to go look for Gary with them. However, Richard goes, "Well, I'm not really good friends with Gary, so I'm not exactly sure why I would go look for him. Um, help him go look for him." And then Laura gives him this look like, "You better go look for this guy, or they're gonna have you to deal with." And so then we see Gary waking up at the beach, and then he starts walking, finds a homeless guy, and tries to look for alcohol on him and steals the bottle. And then once he drinks it, he starts walking, and then he falls, and then he starts crying. And that's the end of part one. So that's why I said we'll just kind of roll with it, because like I said, I didn't take a lot of notes on this one. I don't. My co-host in the background had to go to the store. So I'm not sure if she's I'm not sure if she's watching kind of messages. Or I did tell her that I was going live. But so within this, so I'll recap everything once we get to the second part. So this is the episode, the scene from this episode, from part one. Let's go back to notes. We'll go back to here. Pause. Okay. We'll go to all episodes. And then we'll go to. Okay. Okay. So this is the scene I want. And this is in accordance with YouTube service policy. And then I'll let this play out. And then I'll just talk about it as it plays out. And then we'll jump right into part two, okay? All right, here we go.
Gold. Oh, okay, I'll just make you some more.
Oh, no, please don't. I've had more than enough.
Well, can I get you something else?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Karen, why don't you just go on home, and I'll just call you, if I hear anything.
Do you want me to go?
This is what true friendship is. This is what true sisterhood is. This is what I consider to be soul sisters. I know that Val and Karen haven't known each other for very long, but they really have a special bond. I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I think that I think that Michelle and Miss DonnaMills had a special bond from day one. So talking about the chemistry, I think that JoanVanArk and MicheleLee had a special bond from day one, and I think that you can really see that. And again, that's where and I say I'm not going to break it down, but I'm just talking about this scene in particular because this is the scene that I wanted to play. But you can really see the chemistry, and I think this is the type of chemistry that Don Murray and MicheleLee is lacking. But that's just my opinion. I think that MicheleLee and JoanVanArk have a little bit better chemistry than Michelle and Don Murray. So you can really tell that this is a true friendship, and you can tell that, where MicheleLee's and JoanVanArk's and Karen and Val's friendship really are one and the same, because both sets of characters and actors, they love each other the same no matter what. And that just shows how much even with their podcast that they have today, you can definitely see that they've always had that closeness. And um, I just want to say publicly that I hope that Miss Van Ark feels better soon. She's going through a lot, and if I'm not mistaken, she's hurt her back. So, Miss Van Ark, you are in my thoughts, my prayers, good vibes, everything. I just hope that you feel better soon. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube fair use policies.
What if he doesn't come home? I guess maybe I was pretty dumb thinking that we could put it all together again after all these years.
I don't think you were dumb, Val. And I don't think it's over. Neither do you.
Well, I don't want to, but I don't know. There's time to give up. Maybe this is it.
I love this. It's almost like there's a time for everything. There's a time to lose, there's a time to stay. And I think that, the writers really did make a play. Really did use the Beatles song on this one, and they'll use it again. Don't worry. The Beatles song, this will come back. Full circle. Don't worry about it. It will come back. Full circle. And some of the older, and some of the, newer seasons. And like season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'll definitely see this come back around again. So again, this is kind of like, I think Karen had a little bit of intuitivity to where she could see where, things were going and what, I think that's the way that the writers wrote her with a little bit of with a moral compass, yes, but also with an intuitiveness of it all. So I think that that's where that comes into play. To where that she can kind of, it's almost like Val, like she can read Val's mind, Val can read Karen's mind, Michelle can read Joan's mind, and Joan can read Michelle's mind. So that's where I think that the lines are blurred between the actors and the characters. But again, that's just my opinion. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube service policy.
Maybe it is. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe the dumb part is thinking that this wouldn't happen.
You mean that I should have expected this all along?
Why not? I mean, how many times in anyone's life, in anything you do, can you expect steady progress without setbacks of any kind? This has been the toughest thing in Gary's life.
This is so true. This is so true because if you think about it, anyone who has these type of issues, it is so hard for them to stay on the wagon or to stay sober or to, get through this. And, I don't think, that since they've been in KnotsLanding that Gary has ever been to it in. And I think that maybe that might have been something that maybe should have happened, especially with the move to another situation, move to another city and state and new family, new friends, and I'm not new family. Well, yeah, new family because me and Val got married again, but new friends and a new life and new job that he is doing well at, that he is trying to help Sid with his dealership, and they're, making it happen, and he's helping Sid, making it rain, as they say in today's world. So again, this is something that is very, very hard, and maybe I think he felt a little bit overwhelmed, and I think that he was doing the job, but when he got that promotion, I think that's when he maybe felt a little bit of overwhelmed, but that was a good overwhelm, but he just didn't know how to handle it. And maybe that's what he needed, is he needed that support system to help him to stay sober and to not become overwhelmed in the situation. And so I agree with Karen in this. There is always, there's never such great progress without a little bit of setbacks. And I think we'll see this a little bit in Karen's life as well. And the Mac years, as I call it, we'll see the back and forth between her and Mac and how they had their ups and downs. And while maybe go and study for a while, and always have some setbacks, and we'll learn that even from day one. From day one, that happened from season one and from there we go again, calling season 4 season 1. Season 4 episode 1. We'll see that. I think a lot more with the Mac and Karen here. So that's just my opinion. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube series policy.
Become a whole new person. That's hard, isn't it? I don't want you to all be smooth sailing. Isn't it dumb to think it would be?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. Well, he's hit bottom before and climbed up by himself. This time he's got you to help him. This time it'll be easier for him.
If you want to know the truth, sometimes I don't think I've got anything.
Oh, stop it. Of course you do. I've seen you. You're made of granite rock. I don't think I have anything.
I love that. Because this is the type of friendship that I have with my BFF to where, and ironically, this is a fun fact. I'm a brunette, my BFF is a blonde, so we are definitely the Karen and Val. Although I'm more the Val. Well, no, she would say I'm more of Karen and she's more of Val, or we swap at times. But yeah, so it's just kind of funny now that I think about it, how my BFF is blonde and my BFF has a brunette, although I try to be blonde. I try to have highlights when I can afford them, especially now that I'm turning gray. Oh, I'm 45 and I'm turning gray. I don't like it. Anyways, so yeah, so I kind of like this because this right here, this part of the conversation does remind me of me and my BFF. So I do like this part, and the fact that how they just laugh about it. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube fair use policy.
You know, we joke about you behind your back. We call you the little engine that could. You can't.
I think this is what a lot of people call me because if anything, I may be the Karen, but I'm also probably as short as Joan or Val. So therefore, I think that people call me the little engine that could, to where like I can do anything that I put my mind to it, and I may look like I'm weak and I can't handle things. But then when people realize everything that I've been through and all that jazz, and they realize, oh crap, she can do things on her own. So I like this. Just made me smile. So and again, this is in accordance with YouTube fair use policy.
Do everything you can to make this your home. To protect your home and your husband.
All I know is that when I think about life without Gary again, I just come all apart.
I guess you have no choice then.
Alright, so that's that for that. For that scene, I just think that, Karen doesn't want Val to leave because Val is her BFF, is her soul sister, is her companion, sees her through everything. And we'll see that, after in season 3. So, Okay, so now we're gonna just jump right into part two, because like I said, this is gonna be this. I consider this to be one episode. So in part two, we see that Gary is still at the beach. He wakes up, and then Sid finds the store where Gary tried to buy bourbon, and the guy tells him that he didn't have any money on him, and tells Sid that this is bad news and that, if Gary doesn't get a drink and alcohol, he'll probably get unalived, but he'll drink a bottle right before he gets unalived. Instead, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Um, and it kind of scares Sid. And then we see that, and it's the next scene, we see that Richard finds Gary at the bar, and Richard tells Gary that he is taking him home, and that Val has loaded up a posse to go look for him. And Gary says, well, I don't want no posse looking after me, and he doesn't want to go home. And then, I'm trying to see it right now. And then we see that Richard has a drink reluctantly with Gary. And then this part two kind of goes back and forth a little bit more quickly between the Val and Gary and the Kenny and the Ginger of it all. So we'll just kind of jump back and forth as it goes. So Kenny, we see that Kenny is working a party, and Ginger goes with him. And then, however, he is dancing with Sylvie and not Ginger. Ginger finds Kenny and tells him that she wants to go home, that she's not feeling well. She has a headache and she has to go to work in the morning. And then, so Ginger leaves or asks Kenny if she's going to come home with her. And he says no. And then Ginger leaves. So then Kenny starts dancing with Sylvie again. And then we see that Richard and Gary are still at the bar, and Richard is flat out drunk, like he's not even moving or anything like that. And then Gary takes Richard's keys and money and leaves him there. However, and the bartender tells Gary, hey, what about your friend? I'm closing up. You can't stay here. And then we see that the bartender uh, carries Richard out to the curb out to the sidewalk after Gary steals Richard's car. And then he comes back and tells Richard to get in. And somehow he ends up back in the car. I don't know if he crawled or if Gary carries him in the car. Then we're at the Izzy house, and that's where we see Gary bringing him in. And Gary is so drunk himself that he is knocking things over, making a lot of noise. And then Laura comes downstairs and says, well, what did you do to him? And Gary goes, I didn't do nothing to him. He's drunk. He had maybe 3 drinks, 4 drinks, maybe 5 drinks. And he goes, heck, I don't know. And so then Gary sees the lock cabinet with alcohol, and he tries to get in, and is looking for the keys to get in. And Laura tells him, I don't know where the keys are, but I'll help you find them. And then Laura calls Val and tells her that Gary is there, and Gary doesn't want her to do that. Then we see that Val comes in and tries to stop Gary from getting into the cabinet, and then Val gets hurt. Gary hurts his hand getting into the cabinet. Oh wow, I'm almost done with this episode too. And then we see that Laura tells Val that Gary is quiet now, so she's gonna go get some towels for his hand to wrap it up. And then the next scene we see that Sylvie brings Kenny home the next morning. However, Ginger knows who brought Kenny home, and even though that Kenny lies to her about who brought him home. And then Ginger says wants to be married, and Kenny says, yes, I want to be married. And then Ginger asks to who, and then that's when they hear ambulance outside of their house, and then go to check it out. And then we see that Gary is being loaded into the ambulance. However, the police is telling Val that, he'll be released in a couple of hours, and that, the only way that they'll keep him is if he was, if there was um, any chance that he could unalive himself or unalive someone else or harm someone else. And at first Val was like, no, he just hit his hand. And then Laura says, yes, he did try. After, he drank some alcohol and then he hurt his hand. And so then that's what gets him into the hospital, into the treatment program. And Val commits him to the detox clinic. And then we see that Gary wakes up and starts yelling for Val. And the doctor tells Val that she'll go in and see him. And then the doctor tells Gary to let him see Val, but to keep it calm, otherwise he's gonna have to be sedated. And then Gary comes out of the room, hugs Val, apologizes to her when he sees her black eye, and then begs Val to get him out. And Val says no, that he needs the program. And then that's when he acts out and gets upset, and then they end up sedating him. And then we see that Ginger is on the phone with Kenny while she's at the Avery's house, and she gets off the phone, and Ginger tells Laura, Kenny wants me to come down to the studio. Can you believe it? And she goes, yeah, I can believe it. And Laura is just kind of on Kenny's side on this matter um, because she says that she doesn't know if Ginger is treating her right because she is not meeting him halfway, even though that, they got married and Kenny bought him their house, even though that he loved living at the marina. And then Ginger was like, oh, well, maybe you're right. And so Laura says, well, maybe if you've been a little, then he'll been a little. And so then Ginger gets this look, well, yeah, maybe you're right. No, let's think about that. And then the next thing is that Kenny is at the studio with Sylvie, and Sylvie is messing up her music on purpose, I think, because she wants to get Kenny alone. But however, while she's doing this, she's wasting time and money and energy. But then Kenny finally pulls her into the what's it called, to the soundboard room, and has a talk with Sylvie. And Sylvie says, I just need some one-on-one time, and just using Kenny to as an excuse to be by himself. And then Kenny sends the band home. Val is home, and Karen comes over and asks Val to come over to Laura's. However, Val doesn't want to go. Oh, I'm sorry. And Val was on the phone and with the doctor, and it's almost sounding like she's having second thoughts and wants to bring um, Gary home. And then that's when Karen asked Val to go to Laura's, and Val says that she doesn't feel like a party right now, and that she just wants to stay at home by herself. The next scene we see is that Kenny and Sylvie are on the couch making out, and Ginger walks in and catches them, and Sylvie is not mad about it. And then Ginger runs home, locks Kenny out of the house, breaks the radio, and kicks him out. Like somehow he breaks in and kicks him out of the house and says, don't come back at this time. I don't want you here at all. Um, and so he leaves, and then I don't know if I wrote this down, but he ends up at Sylvie's house at some point. And then next we see that Gary starts therapy while Val is watching through like a window type of thing or a camera, TV screen almost. And then the doctor tells Gary what he has is a continuous disorder that is something that he has to constantly work on a daily basis, and he has to choose to want to stay sober, and it's not something that he can just walk away from and be like, okay, I'm fine with that. Um, let's I'm not gonna drink anymore. It's gonna be an ongoing battle, and we'll have to take it day by day. And Gary wants to call his wife, and then the doctor finally says, "Okay, fine. You want the whiskey? Here's a whiskey bottle, or here's a dime. You have a choice. Do you want to call your wife, or do you want the bottle? Do you want the bottle? Do you want to call your wife?" And then he grabs the bottle out of his hand while Val is watching, and then then that hurts Val, and so then she goes, "Oh, Gary," and then she just realizes that Gary is really sick, and sick enough that he chooses alcohol over calling his wife. And then we see that Ginger is on a field trip with her students at the zoo, and Kenny shows up, tells the students that they got into a fight last night, and then he asked the students to take a vote if they should try kiss and make up, or if they should, or Ginger should still be mad at him. And the students vote to have them kiss and make out. And then Ginger and then Ginger sends the kids away while they walk and talk. And Kenny says that Kenny tells Ginger that they had a fight and wants to start all over. Ginger says that that can't happen right now, and that they need to be separated for a while. That she just wants to be alone. She just wants to be alone with her thoughts to figure things out. And then Kenny wants to know for how long, and that he still loves her. And Ginger says, "I know," and that's what makes it so sad. And then this is when we see that Kenny arrives at Sylvie's house to um, stay over for a while. And so the rest of the scene is about Gary and his situation. So we see that Gary is playing pool with another patient at the hospital, and he's talking to her about his experience and what he needed to do to move on with the program. And then we see that Sid arrives to see Gary, and Gary wants to apologize to Sid. And Gary asks why Sid is there and not Val. And Sid says, "Well, I'm kind of in her place because I don't think that Gary tells him why, but anyway, so Sid is there in Val's place. Um, and then Sid tells Gary that Gary is scared when he is drunk, and Gary makes a joke about AA and the fact that he's drunk and how they're going on and on and on. And Gary tells Sid that he's going to AA, and Sid says, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" And he goes and makes a joke and says, "Well, Sid, you're very quiet, but when you start to talk, you don't shut up." um, so Gary was just so then Gary kind of makes a joke, and however, this is where it goes sideways. Gary Gary is celebrating the fact that his friend is leaving that night to go home, that he finished the program. And then we see that Gary goes into this friend's room and takes his clothes and shoes to leave the center. Then he goes to the nurse's station and gets the keys to get out, and he leaves the hospital. And then next we see that Sid wants to tell Val that he's gonna go to AA. However, they don't know that Gary left the hospital. And then we see that the next thing is that Gary took a taxi back home and is knocking at the door. Val hugs Gary and Val asks about AA. And Gary says, "Oh, we'll just go tomorrow." So it's like he's already starting all these excuses as to why he's not going to go to AA. Um, and then the phone rings, and then that's when Val learns, however, that Gary was not released and that he just left on his own free will. And then she tells Gary that, um, that she saw him during the therapy session and how he chose alcohol over calling her and it hurt her. And then Val gives him an ultimatum. And then Gary takes Val's car keys, and drives off along with money. And Gary runs into all their trash cans, the neighbor's trash cans, and then he leaves and he ends up at a bar. And we learn that in a little bit. And then the Karen and Sid run out, and Sid tries to stop Gary and wants to go to follow him, and Val says no, Gary is on his own. They ask Val if that's Gary, and Val goes, "Yep, that's Gary," and Sid goes, "Well, should I go after him?" And she goes, "No, Gary is on his own now." As she's picking up all the trash cans. And Karen's like, "Are you sure?" And she goes, "Yep, he's on his own." And Karen asks Val to go inside. And Val's like, "No, I'm still going to go to the meeting because she has to go to get answers." And Karen says, "Oh, of course." And then we see that Gary is at the bar and he is there with a glass of alcohol. However, he pulls out a dime and then he goes to make a phone call to Val. However, Val doesn't answer. But then went back to the bar and he throws the dime around. And then he's just trying to make a decision like, does he stay and drink or does he leave and go to the AA? And then we see that Val is at the meeting listening to another alcoholic talk about her experience and what she went through. And then we see that Gary, and then as the meeting is wrapping up, the guy who was supposed to go home, says that he's getting out today and that, that he just doesn't want to, that he wants to be the end. However, we see that Gary comes in and the guy goes, "Hi, stranger. welcome, come on in and introduce yourself. And so then that's when Gary walks in and he introduces himself during the interview. And then he sees Val there, Val sees him, and that's the end of episode 13, and that's the end of the season. So, okay, so let's talk about it. So I did these two episodes kind of fast, just because I wanted to get through them really quickly. Because I knew that was a two-parter, and that's kind of going to be how the next couple of episodes, the season 2, episodes 1 and 2 are going to be. Um, so a little bit of background on this before I go into the actual recap is that I learned that in real life, Ted Shackelfield, who played Gary Lewin, was an alcoholic in real life. And he did tell the directors, the writers, the producers not to give him real alcohol because he will basically go off the rails like Gary does in that episode. And that's why I think that the way that this is portrayed as seems very real is because it is real, because that's how he perceived himself. So he basically took real life experiences and brought it into this character, I think. And I'm not exactly sure, like, if Ted Shackelfield actually fell off the wagon, in his real life, and I'm not going to speculate that he did or he didn't. Um, but he really did play this part very well. I'm curious to know if he did let the writers know when he went in for the audition, even for Dallas, if when he went in for that audition, if he told them what his background was with alcohol, and if that is part of the reason why he got this part. So I'd be real interested to know that. Um, so that's with that. So I just wanted to, that's a little bit of a behind the scenes that I've learned. Again, we did not see a lot of the scenes with certain couples. This was very Gary and Val and Kenny and Ginger driven. And I think that they did that to kind of wrap it up and to maybe bring about the next season. I think they really wanted to wrap up a really good real history of Gary and Val and just kind of tie that all up in a bow. And I think that they did that very well. Um, so that was done very well. And I think that Kenny and Ginger have a long way to go. And the fact that, Kenny thought that Ginger was still going to accept him after he was caught with Sylvie is just, it blows my mind. Like, really? You think um, that she's gonna take you back after all this? I don't think so. It's like, I don't think so, Tim. She's not gonna stay with you, but I can understand why, as opposed to getting a divorce, Ginger wants some time to think about the relationship and to think about what she wants moving forward. And so that will really tie into their storylines moving forward. And then, of course, the Gary and Val of it all really says a lot. I, it's really hard. Um, it's really hard to love someone who has such a huge issue or a huge disorder like this. And again, I'm speaking from experience. it is very hard because you do love that person with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind, that it almost hurts the person as much as it hurts the person that the person that has the problem. It hurts them just as much because they want to be there for them, they want to help them, but they also have to know that the person has to hit rock bottom in order to get the help that they need. And I'm not sure that when my dad, he ended up falling down the stairs at his parents' house after that one time where he scared us. And I don't know if that's when it hit rock bottom for him. I will never know um, what would have been his rock bottom. But, and again, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to talk about it all that much. But I just kind of, this is where I can put myself in Val's shoes more than Karen. That's in this episode, in these two episodes. And I'll even say this when we get to the Abby episodes where Gary falls off the wagon. I just have just a little bit of sympathy for Abby in those episodes. However, not a lot for many, many reasons. Um, but I have just a little bit of sympathy or a little bit of empathy for Abby in those episodes. However, it's not a lot because what she did to Val was horrible. So, at any rate, um, so I can kind of see that and I can kind of relate to being a loved one of someone who was battling this disorder. And also on a therapist level because my part of my graduate work for my MSW, I took a drug and alcohol class and addiction class, and I learned a lot, even more so with that. So that's something that I wanted to dive into because of my background. I wanted that. I wanted to know what that was like and how I could help people, but knowing that I couldn't really help people because of my experience. So there's that aspect of it. Um, so I have like personal experience and then I have the schooling experience as well. And I also have a little bit of working with people who did have it on a professional level. So I kind of have it from all sides, so I can kind of see where Val and just kind of like be there and understand her a little bit more in this episode. And I think that the fact that Gary realized at the end of episode that he had to make that decision for himself, and the fact that Val has learned that Val couldn't help him, that he had to make that decision for himself, that no one can help him, and that he was so far gone that it was just going to be hard to help him if he didn't want the help. And that's why she gave him the ultimatum, like, hey, I love you, but, you know, you gotta do this for you, and I'm gonna go to this meeting whether you go with me or not. And the fact that Gary chose to leave at that moment really said a lot about him, but I think the fact that we'll see a very similar scene with the alcohol and him making the decision that we see in this scene that we will see with Abby coming up in those later episodes. So that's something to look forward to. And then, so, and the fact that, Gary came to the decision on his own that that he needed to go back to the hospital. He needed to finish out his treatment. He needed to go to AA. So I think that that is very wise and very um, good on his part. So again, and that's where I think that it all ends up, and that's the best outcome for everyone. As the fact for that to happen is for someone to realize that they need the help. So with that, there's not a lot more to say on that episode. Like I said, I just wanted to get this episode out. Just because I did these 2 episodes out, I just didn't want to lose these for tomorrow because I just was not sure how I would feel about it moving forward. Um, Tomorrow when I go to um, when I wanted to break down the episode. So yeah, I just knew I couldn't do this. I just knew that I couldn't do these 2 episodes tomorrow. So that's why I wanted to do them today. So I will play today's tune. Let me see if this is right. Okay. Okay. So this is this tune, and then we'll just go from the scene from when Karen walks in on Val being on the phone, and I think this is another good part to their friendship. So, and again, this is in accordance with YouTube service policy, and I will be stopping it for commentary. All right, let's get to it.
Yeah. Oh. How long will that take? Well, I don't understand what. Come on in. The door's open. I'm sorry, Doctor. There was somebody at the door. Yeah. AA? Well, no, I don't think so. At least he's never mentioned it. Huh? Well, maybe. But I mean, once the poison is out of his system, maybe the hospital is the best place. No. I haven't changed my mind. It's just that I want. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll be there. Okay, thank you, Doctor. Bye-bye.
So this is the scene where Val is thinking that she's having second thoughts about bringing Gary home. However, I'm not going to play that scene of where Val is watching Gary through the window. I don't want to have this video flagged for any of that, but this is the scene right before that that takes place. So so this is where Val is having second thoughts before she sees Gary and in that in the next scene. So and again, this is and it's Karen that walked in, not anybody else. So I think that everybody is trying to give Val space, but Karen, because I think Karen is her 100% main supporter and wants to, and that's who Val needs right now is Karen and not really anybody else surrounding her. So I think it was just the decision among everyone that Karen just checks in with Val and sees how she's doing. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube service policy.
He's sedated. It just takes real long, the treatment.
Yeah.
They gotta dry him out first before they can even start. And then they gotta find out what kind of treatment's best for him, private therapy or AA or both.
Val. What you did, putting him in the hospital, that was right. Very brave.
I don't know. Maybe he'd be better off at home.
And again, this is where Karen told Val in the last episode that, she is very brave. And again, this is where I think I can relate a little bit to Val because like I'm scared too. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. There were some scary moments, but anyway, so and again this is in accordance with YouTube series policy.
Why don't you let the doctors decide that, huh? Sid made some phone calls. Kramer, she's the best.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. He's in good hands. Listen, I'm going over to the Averys. Why don't you come along with me?
No, I'm not really in the mood.
Oh.
So Sid is still getting some redeeming qualities. The fact that he is making phone calls around to see if how this doctor is, and come to find out she's like the best in town, and so that makes Karen and Val I think feel comfortable. I think that Sid is very thankful that Karen found Val and that Val found Karen, and that they'll just be the best of friends for life, and no matter come what may. So, and again, this is in accordance with YouTube series policy.
Come on, it'll do you some good. Huh? Bet you haven't eaten all day.
Karen, look, I just don't feel like going to any silly party.
I don't think it's a party. I just think it's people having dinner together. Because I mean, if you think about it, it's just Sid and Karen, Laura and Richard, and then I don't even think Ginger is there anymore because of what happened. So, I think Val should have gone, but that's just my opinion. Because hey, everyone's got to eat, right? But again, I can see why she doesn't feel like eating. But that's just me. And again, this is in accordance with YouTube series policy.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Here's something.
Yeah. Hey, got some sleep, huh?
And again, oh no, Ginger wasn't there because the next one is where Ginger finds Sophie and Kenny. So I just love that because you can kind of see a little bit of where the the true friendship between um Michelle and Joan, and then Val and Karen kind of coincide with each other. Like you can tell that Michelle is really there for Joan, and Joan is really there for Michelle. And the same thing is true for the characters themselves. So the fact that Karen kissed Val on the head, I think that was also a kiss from Michelle saying that, you know, I got you. I know this episode is hard, but we're gonna get through this together. So I think that is really sweet. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but just knowing of what I know of their friendship, I think that was a ad lib in Michelle and Joan, and not necessarily. I think that wasn't the script. I think that was something that they made a choice about. So, alright, so that is the end. My co-host in the background has left me to go grocery shopping. So she's not around to kind of bounce ideas off of me. So I'm just going to. Yeah, I don't blame her. I know tomorrow's the 4th of July. She's probably got a lot going on. I don't, I don't live by a family. Um, so therefore, um, it's not a big deal to me. So yeah, at this point, I wish I was in Tennessee, but hey, um, it is what I want. It is what it is. So I hope. Okay, so first of all, again, um, please like, subscribe, share, comment down below, and also don't forget I have YouTube. That's doing the YouTube things, the YouTube things. I also have in the description box below. I have the one that's on the podcast. I have their link, and then I also have the link for the CG Circle podcast. in the description box below. And also, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I will land tomorrow. I just don't know. Sorry, it's been a long day. It's hot. I have a migraine over the thunderstorm, I think, so it's just been crazy. So anyway, so I'm sorry for the yawn. Which I'm glad I'm almost done with this live. Let me see. Listen, oh no. We're still out. And out. I'm done. Almost done. Just doing closing. So yeah. So I just hope that you guys are gonna stay safe, stay cool. Keep your pets inside if you're in the heat. Keep hydrated. Keep your pets and children inside if you're in the heat. And keep your animals safe during the fireworks if you're in the USA. And I hope you guys have a great 4th of July. And I will see you guys tomorrow with, dun dun dun, Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and maybe 3, because I think that'll get us right on track. So, I might do episodes, seasons, and I'm finished. I'm finishing, but just, bottom. Okay, so my co-host is still kind of there, but not there, so, one and two, three, four. I'm just giving my friend, my co-host in the background, a message. So I just want to see if she has any thoughts on the episode, even though that she's not on. So just bear with me 1 second. I got 11, for the first time. First time. And do you have any thoughts? Or if I did say that try and now things that you almost didn't know if. You know what? I might just go ahead and replay the 2 scenes that I played for you guys. Because I do want to get my friend's feedback on them. So hold on. Do you want to have to join you? And I will replay the 2 scenes, or at least. Oh, okay, there. Okay. I was just messaging you. I'm glad that you're there. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replay um one of the things because I did talk about it, but I kind of want to get your feedback on it. So let me go back to the first episode, and I'm going to play the first scene because the second one was just really um the second one was just really short, and I don't really didn't have anything new to say on that one. So let me just replay the first scene for you. So hold on, let me get to that. Turn this down so I can get there. Uh-oh, hold on, I'm having troubles. You had it coming. You had it coming. Sorry, I kind of was watching another YouTube channel who was singing that song, or like who was talking about using that. I think it was Emily G. Baker was talking about they had it coming, they had it coming, talking about the Alec Murdoch retrial here coming up. So it's just been kind of. I was watching that today while I was working. I was watching the Emily G. Baker channel. If y'all don't know who Emily G. Baker is, she's a former lawyer. She gives trial commentary on the trials that were well to watch. And Alec Murdoch is one of them. She watched the first trial, and now we're going to watch the second trial together. And I can't wait because she is hilarious. Emily Baker is hilarious. She cracks me up. But I do warn you, she loves them cursey words. So, anyways, okay, so I'm going to replay this scene for my co-host in the background so I can talk about it with her while we're on live. So I do apologize. If you want to skip this, that's fine. If you want to leave, feel free. But this is what we're doing because it's my channel and I'll do what I want. Alright, here we go. This is in accordance with YouTube's fair use policy, and let's run it back.
Gold.
Oh, okay, I'll just make you some more.
Oh, no, please don't. I've had more than enough.
Well, can I get you something else?
No, I'm fine.
So, a background I'm missing, co-host in the background, is this is after Gary's been missing for a minute after he went on a drunken bender. And so Karen is at Val's keeping her company. And so this is where I think what I was kind of saying is like about this scene is that it's hard to tell where the friendship between the characters and the actors are separate, like the lines are blurred. And so therefore it's like, okay, is this really Joan in the shower? Is this really Karen and Val? And I think the lines are blurred a lot there. And this is just a really sweet scene between them. And I know that they have many of them, but you can kind of see that how even though that they haven't known each other for very long, they have really become close and almost inseparable, even closer than what Karen was to Laura. I just think that they have a sweet relationship, and it's almost like they met each other in a former life, or almost like that they are the yin to their yang. Um, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you noticed that about their friendship, co-host in the background, but this is kind of like what I see. And as the scene goes on, I'll talk a little bit more about what I said about that. Like for me, it's just really hard to tell the difference between what is really real and what's not because of their. Because I think from day one, from when they met on the set, I think that they had great chemistry, and I think that they even have better chemistry than what um, Michelle and Don Murray had. Like, I think that their chemistry is a lot better, and I think from day one, they were just the best of friends, even on set, and I think that they were soul sisters from day one of being on set. I know that that was a problem with the chemistry between Don and Karen, was the fact that, she didn't feel that the same chemistry that um uh she didn't have the same chemistry with Don as she did with Joan. But that's just my opinion. Like I said before. So, and again, this is in accordance with YouTube fairness policy. And I love this. I love the way that I have this staff that has like Joan with a smile. It's just really cute. It's a really cute smile. So again, this is in accordance with YouTube fairness policy.
Karen, why don't you just go on home and I'll just call you, if I hear anything.
Do you want me to go?
And this is also where I was saying, co-host in the background, that I feel like this is where me and my best friend are very similar. I can just kind of see that friendship that I have with my BFF here in Michigan. We've been close since our senior year in high school in 2000, and she was there for me no matter what. Even though that we knew each other from middle school, yeah, from seventh grade, we weren't really close until our senior year in high school, and that's when we formed our closeness. And I actually just talked with her about this, and I didn't say this in the first time that I ran this quick back, but that I just had this conversation with her to where I felt like that we're not just friends, we're not just soul sisters, but we're I think energetic twins, even though we're not the same age because I'm gonna say a year or two older than she is. Um, but we're just like our souls are matched. Our souls are twins. So we're very much energetic twins as opposed to that. So therefore, um, I guess this is where I can see ourselves, and then in a minute I'll tell you even more about that. Um, so anyway, so this is in accordance with YouTube service policy.
What if he doesn't come home? I guess maybe I was pretty dumb thinking that we could put it all together again after all these years.
I don't think you were done, Val. And I don't think it's over. Neither do you.
Well, I don't want to, but I don't know if there's time to give up. Maybe this is it.
So again, this is kind of like where I stopped the last time, and I, kind of said, this is like the Beatles song. There's a time for everything. There's a season for everything, and how this is going to be a current theme throughout the show, especially starting in season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know about 10, 11, and 12. But this is going to be a reoccurring theme to where they're going to talk about this a lot. And then the other thing, too, that I said, and the funny thing is that, I'm a brunette, Karen's a brunette, Val is a blonde, my BFF is a blonde. Go figure them. Go figure that one out. Haha. Coincidence? I think not. Oh, Sorry, this is in accordance with YouTube's fair use policy.
Maybe it is. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe the dumb part is thinking that this wouldn't happen.
You mean that I should have expected this all along?
Why not? I mean, how many times in anyone's life, in anything you do, can you expect steady progress without setbacks of any kind?
And again, this is where I think I stopped it out again, and I talked about how the fact that people who do battle any type of alcoholism, drug addiction, or whatever, and I kind of said that under my breath. Um, Anytime anyone battles this disorder or has this disorder, and it's so hard to stay on the wagon, and even if you're sober for 10, 15 years, it's still a day by day, it's still a choice to stay sober. It's difficult. And co-host in the background, I'm not going to go into this, but if you rewatch it, I kind of explain a little bit about the fact that these two episodes and why I wanted to do these episodes today. So I go back and watch those, and then you'll see why, and then you can leave a comment after that. But so it's just so hard. Um, and again, I'm speaking from experience. It's just so hard um, to not expect setbacks in this type of situation or in anything. So again, this is in accordance with YouTube's fair use policy. And I do have, and again, I'm just going to let you know, in this episode, I can kind of see myself leaning towards more Val, and now I'll explain it. And then coming up in a minute, there's another part that will explain why I feel a little bit more like Val in this episode than I do in Karen.
This has been the toughest thing in Gary's life. He's had to become a whole new person. That's hard, isn't it? So why should it all be smooth sailing? Is it dumb to think it would be?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. Well, he's hit bottom before and climbed up by himself. This time he's got you to help him. This time it'll be easier for him.
If you want to know the truth, sometimes I don't think I've got it in.
Oh, stop it. Of course you do. I've seen you. You're made of granite rock. I don't.
So, this is kind of like where I stopped it again, co-host in the background, because I said, like how I just said a minute ago, like, I feel like Val, because even though I'm the brunette, but I'm just as tall. I'm not exactly sure how tall Miss VanArk is, but judging from the height of her as opposed to everyone else on the show, I kind of think I'm about her height. So if you think about everything that I've been through and then everything that Val's been through, that maybe I kind of relate to her on this level to what Karen is about to say. The fact that she is strong and that she's been through a lot, she can do anything that she sets her mind to. We almost have to be that way because we are small. It's something that we have to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, so this is kind of also where I relate to now, to where I am a strong person. However, I think a little bit like Val, where it's like putting up a front to where we have to be strong. And I didn't say this before. It's almost like we have to be strong, otherwise we'll just break down. And just not be able to pick ourselves up. And then if we do that, then how much good are we going to do for anyone else? So us little people, well, I don't want to say I'm a little person, but us who are short in stature are a little bit stronger than those who are not. Because I don't want to say I'm a little person because I'm not. Because if I had stomach or torso and all that jazz, I'd probably be about 5'5", just based on my legs, because I have long legs. Anyways, so that's where I'm at with that. So then we'll get on with it. Again, this is in accordance with YouTube fair use policy.
You know, we joke about you behind your back. We call you the little engine that could. You can't. You do everything you can to make this your home. To protect your home. And your husband.
All I know is that when I think about life without Gary again, I just come all apart.
I guess you have no choice then.
Alright, so calls in the background, that's the end of that scene, but just a couple more comments that I want to make about it that I made before is that, again, as where does the Val Karen friendship and the Michelle and Joan friendship began? You don't know. And I think that, especially with the last scene that I played, I think that Michelle, the actress, knew how hard of an episode these two episodes were. That I think that the genuineness of it all came out, and so therefore their character, the acting between them is more real, and it seems more authentic than it did, as opposed to the actual characters. I just think that they just played out a little bit more as authentic and not just Karen and Val, but Michelle and Joan. That's just my opinion, and I think coming from someone who has that type of friendship with someone else, I can see that, or maybe it's my high sensitivity that's maybe projecting it, or my mirror neurons that's putting myself in their shoes. But I can definitely see that, to whereas Michelle was like, okay, this is a hard episode. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna support you, and lean on me, and let's get through this together. So those are my thoughts. So what do you think about that co-host in the background? So I'm just kind of waiting on you, and then I will really go ahead and end the live stream. So I'm just waiting on her to get back with me. I don't know if she's still there. It says one person watching. Um, Sorry, I went into a chorus song that I used to sing while I was on tour with chorus or in chorus. And the song called Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, but it was a different version of it. It was a fun version of it. So, but do you see what I'm saying, co-host in the background? Do you agree with what I'm saying? That's why I think that the Michelle and Joan friendship are really coming out because of this new storylines for Val. I just think that it was maybe behind the scenes that Michelle knew that this was difficult for her, because these are heavy episodes, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I mean, they're heavy for me. I can't imagine what it's like for what it's like for them in real time when they were doing these episodes. Gosh. so difficult. I'm not sure if you've seen these two episodes lately. Do you have any thoughts or feelings? I look forward to you going back to the beginning and maybe you can leave comments as you're watching it and then like in the comment section and then I can reply to you and that would be kind of fun. Kind of something a little bit different. Um, so I'm just waiting to see if you have anything else to say at this time. I know it's been kind of a long day, but like I said, I just wanted to get these two episodes done. And once you go back, you'll learn why. I'm tired. My cat's tired. It's almost 9 o'clock here. I don't know what time it is where you're at. I have to put my hair back up. So, I think she's all set, so I'm going to go ahead and really end out this live. And again, the We're Not Done Yet podcast is linked below. The Suzu Circle YouTube channel is linked below. The Sunset Judgment. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because she's a huge YouTuber. But if you do like to follow trials, I would suggest that you go follow Emily G. Baker on the Tuesday View. She's hilarious. She cracks me up. She breaks it down. She talks about not just she she's hilarious, but she does have she is a big fan of the cursey words. Also, like, subscribe, share, turn on the bell notification. And I hope that you guys leave some comments in the comment section down below. And thank you for bearing with me today as I do 4 episodes. I cannot believe I did 4 episodes. So I don't know if I will have co-hosts in the background tomorrow, but I do want to jump into season 2. Well, you know what? No. Take that back. I'm going to take tomorrow off just because I did do 4 episodes today. I'm going to take tomorrow off. We'll do, and then we'll do season 2, episodes 1 and 2, because those are, those are part 1 and part 2 as well. So we'll kind of do the same thing that I did with this one, because as you see, it's about the same length, but it wouldn't have been if I didn't go back and replay the clips. So we'll do season 2, episode 1 and 2, and episode 3, just so that I can break it down a little bit better and get it on track as to what I was going to do. Like, I was going to do episodes 1 and 2 and then just do 3 the next day, but I think I'll do episodes 1, 2, and 3 just to get them done. And that will be on Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And then don't forget next Wednesday, I think on Wednesdays, we'll do movie nights. So next Wednesday is the breakdown of Big Dreams and Broken Hearts, starring the incomparable MicheleLee. So I hope you can join me for that. I haven't decided how that's going to look just yet, but I'll figure it out as I go. I don't know if I'm going to... I don't know what the best way to do that is, but I'll figure it out. So, anyways, and again, like I was saying before, if you're in this heat, please stay inside, keep hydrated, keep your children, keep your pets, keep your dogs, keep your cats inside, out of the heat. I know here it's been so hot. We did get a thunderstorm, but it looks like it hasn't gone under 90 degrees yet. I'm waiting for that to happen. And then tomorrow is here in the US is the 250th birthday celebration for the United States of America. So I hope that you guys enjoy the fireworks and please help keep your pets safe and not scared from the fireworks and please keep your children safe and those who um, maybe shouldn't and those that need to be protected safe from all the fireworks and handling fireworks. And I don't know if any of my friends who are in Tennessee, I hope you guys are having a blast. And I look forward to those pictures. And also look forward to maybe a short or two tomorrow coming your way with Pretty and Lynn or maybe some pictures or with some Pretty and Lynn songs on it. I don't know. So we'll see. Because like I said, that one short that I posted yesterday got over 1,000 views. Did you see that co-host in the background? That my one short that I posted with Trey and I got over 1,000 views? I'm like, what in the world? That's crazy. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe. And I will see you guys on Monday. Bye. Oh, wait, hold on. I know, isn't that crazy? I was so shocked when I saw that. Let me see what it's up now. Um, let me turn this down because I want the music to play. But let me see what it's on now. I want to see what it's on now and then I'll go. Okay, I'm gonna go to analytics. Hold on. Yep, I did that. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm trying to see. You know what? Let me go to my YouTube channel. My YouTube studio. That might tell me. Because it says right now I have 1,582 views on that short. That's that's crazy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of me in the picture, or if it's because of Trey, or if it's because of the Conway song. I have no idea. And it looks like I've been reposted 603 times. That is amazing. I just, oh my gosh. I just want to see this. Okay, let me see. So right now, this short that I posted yesterday has 1,618 views. And according to, and I wish it would tell me, and according to, what is it, repost or something like that, it looks like that it has 603 reposts along with 2 new subscribers. That is amazing. I just want to say thank you guys for that, and I'm gonna do a separate post on the on my Canadian page or even on my short to say thank you, cause I'm just blown away. No, I just wish that these wives look at that. Look at that. Shoot. That is amazing. I'm so happy about that. Because that video and or that short, that song, that moment was super special for me. So, so anyways, thank you, host in the background. So thank you. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, turn on the bell notifications. Go check out the We're Not Done Yet podcast. Go check out the CD Circle YouTube channel. Go check out my shorts that are blowing up, which is amazing. And I comment and go check out Emily G. Baker. I don't know if she wants people to put her links in the description boxes, so I'm not gonna do that without her permission. She's she is a big YouTuber, so I don't want, and she has like a whole team behind her, so I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want any of that. But so and go ahead and follow her as Emily D. Baker, and she's a huge law 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 tuber here on the Tubes of You, and she is funny as all get out. And again, she also uses all the cursey words, so if that's something that you don't want to listen to, then I would suggest you find a different YouTuber that you want to listen to trials with. But I enjoy Emily G. Baker. So, anyways, with that, have a great weekend. Have a great holiday weekend. Stay safe, stay hydrated, enjoy the fireworks, keep your animals and pets, keep your animals, well, keep your children and your fur babies all safe with the heat and the fireworks. And have a happy 4th of July, everyone, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you. Bye.